Ukraine says Russia has unleashed an intercontinental ballistic missile, the first time such a weapon has ever been used in anger, in what appears to be a revenge strike, after Ukraine unleashed British Storm Shadow cruise missiles and American ATACMS at targets inside Russia for the first time in the war. We're in Kharkiv again.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Normally, I meme it up and do some music and joke around at the beginning. I'm just gonna get right into it. This is gonna be try to be a quick one. Okay, I'm sure everyone saw on the news Putin used an ICBM on Ukraine. Um, I'm gonna do a little bit of a deep dive on exactly what's going on in Ukraine and Russia from my perspective on what I'm able to track, going all the way back to 1991 when the Soviet Union broke apart, and then you said basically distributed ourselves all over the old Soviet Union territories, trying to develop them with our influence. You said United States Agency for International Development. In 1991, when the Soviet Union broke up, they immediately started sticking their fingers in all the pies over there, especially in Ukraine and Georgia, at the behest of Russia, and we also did it in Russia as well, as I'm sure in every territory pretty much, because we wanted if they broke apart and there was a place for us to stick our little greasy little fingers in there, we're gonna do it. Now, I don't hate America. I'm not someone that hates America and hates all the meddling we do in other countries. I feel like a lot of it is pretty evil and wrong. I do also know that the deep state and the dark entities of our government, they also do things in the dark that protect us. So there's a very fine line to walk whenever you talk about this stuff. So I needed to make it clear that I don't hate America and I don't hate every piece of meddling we do, but there's quite a bit that is very questionable, and I wish they were just more transparent. It's like it's you don't gotta show me the bodies, but you should at least let me know that they exist. Um, So yeah, let's just see a little bit. I'm only gonna talk about this a little bit because I got something big cooking. If you're hearing this right now, wait till I'm gonna drop some real information on this next one. I just wanted to talk about this just a little bit.
My name is Jerome Starkey. I'm the defence editor at The Sun newspaper, and this is Frontline, your weekly roundup of the most important news from the war in Ukraine. We're starting today with reports that Russia has unleashed a Rubezh RS-26 intercontinental ballistic missile. Now, this is a missile that is 12 metres long, weighs around 36 tonnes, and it is carried around on a 16-wheel transport vehicle. So it's a ground-launched intercontinental ballistic missile with a range of about a maximum range thought to be around 5,800 kilometres. Now, to put that into perspective, that is long enough, more than long enough, to go from London to New York. And indeed, were it fired from the eastern edge of Russia, it could hit continental United States, it could hit anywhere in Europe and most of Africa and Asia as well.
Okay, so this is escalating because Joe Biden made a decision to allow Ukraine to use ATACMS, and the other ones. What are the shadow? I forget what they're called. Um, the British bunker busters also. They're called something else. They're not called they call it something different than what we call it. It's shadow something. Whatever. It's a bunker buster. It's a British bunker buster basically. So Joe Biden hasn't allowed them to use those weapons even though we gave them to them. And whenever you're in a conflict, I understand that I'm just going with the official story, okay? Ukraine's trying to defend itself and push Russia back into the country, back into their country and maintain their territories as their own. Now, why why would Joe Biden advise them to fire long-range missiles deep into Russian territory, provoking Vladimir Putin? Now, I get it. Hey, Putin's invading their country. Oh, and I'm defending it and going, "Oh, well, what, Ukraine's not allowed to punch back? They're not allowed to hit them back with weapons in their soil. Well, Russia is attacking Ukraine on their soil. Why can't Ukraine attack Russia on their soil?" it's just the basic it's just the basic terms of engagement on a battlefield with war. There are certain rules, there's certain decorum, there's certain things. I'm not a military guy. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know about all of it or anything like that. I'm sure military guys listening to me like, "This guy's an idiot. I can't believe he's talking about rules and engagement on the battlefield." Look, you know that there is, though. Don't pretend like there's not. You know there's certain things. Now, when Russia is occupying and doing their thing, then missiles that Ukraine does not have the power to use go flying over their heads, landing on their soil. Putin has no choice but to send a message. He has no choice but to say, "Hey, wait a minute. You just struck me with something that you don't have the capability of using. That tells me I was struck by somebody else." So they're having a normal. I don't want to call it a normal conflict, but they're having a conflict. There's a military conflict going on. Then all of a sudden, multiple haymakers come from the first row from somebody else. And Putin's like, "Oh, what the hell was this? These aren't your missiles. These are American missiles. These are British missiles. Am I, Russia, under attack from NATO? Is this a NATO attack?" Do you understand what Putin would have to do if this broke into a NATO war? Just think about it. Just think about what he would have to do if we went forward with a full NATO attack on Russia. You can say, "Oh, we'll win that. We will." Yeah, we'll win. We're gonna win, all right. What will we win?
A very powerful weapon. The reason this is the first time such a weapon, if it's been fired, has ever been fired in conflict is that these weapons were developed by the world's great powers after World War II. And whilst they have been tested repeatedly, there's never been a conflict before where they've been used in anger. Ukraine suggesting that one of these weapons was fired at Dnipro, the central city of Dnipro. Those reports as yet are unconfirmed. It reportedly landed, exploded this morning. These missiles can carry nuclear warheads, and if it has been used, then it's hard to escape the interpretation that this is a deliberate message from Russia, a reminder of its military might, a reminder that it has these sorts of weapons in its arsenal. I mean, no one has really forgotten. How could we? Because the Kremlin has rarely gone a day, a week, and certainly not a month without its nuclear saber-rattling threats. But those threats have been ratcheted up over the last week because this has been a really big week for the war in Ukraine. Why? Well, because President Joe Biden has made a surprise U-turn over his de facto ban on letting Ukraine hit Russia with US-supplied ATACMS and British-supplied Storm Shadow missiles. Now, these are different weapons. The ATACMS is a ground-launched missile. It's fired from the HIMARS or GMLRS launchers, which both Britain and America have supplied, although only America has the ATACMS missile to give Ukraine. It has a reported range of around 190 miles. Storm Shadow, by contrast, is a stealth cruise missile, a bunker-busting cruise missile, so it has a double fuse system designed to penetrate hardened concrete targets and then explode deep underground, potentially in cellars or bunkers.
Well, just think if you were Putin and you're fighting this war, regardless how you feel about it, and you're fighting Ukraine, Ukraine's fighting Russia, and there's some weapons coming from different places, but all the weapons and all the attacks are pretty much similar the whole way through. Then all of a sudden, Putin is attacked in a way he hasn't been attacked yet on very long range missiles that he knows that Ukraine doesn't have, and they're it's clearly an attack from NATO. So Putin launched an ICBM without a nuclear payload to show, just to remind what he's capable of doing. Now, the reason I'm so upset about Biden doing this and making these decisions and doing let me ask you something real quick. Do you think for 1 second this is Ukraine firing these missiles? Do you think Ukraine all of a sudden we trained them? What do we do? Do we do a Skype? Do we do a Skype meeting to teach them how to launch Storm Shadow bunker busters? Did we do a what did some transgender Ukrainian first responders that we pay their salaries for, did they get on to did they do a Zoom call? Did they do a Zoom call to teach them how to launch, um, to launch, Storm Shadow missiles and tow missiles and cruise missiles? Yeah, it was on a Zoom call, I'm sure. I'm sure America is not involved at all. I'm sure American and British soldiers are not the ones that are launching these missiles from Ukraine. I'm sure that's not what's happening, right? Of course not. Of course not. So, even if it's not them doing it and we clearly taught Ukraine how to do it, so what's the difference? Whether they're pressing the button or we're pressing the button, what difference does it make? So, Putin has to do what he has to do that, because if NATO is attacking him, he will load those with nuclear payloads. He will have to. He won't have a choice. And I say we're gonna win. We were gonna win this. Now I'm gonna do a deep dive. I'm gonna end the video here. Okay, this is just some basic news. Okay, Biden did something dumb. It has provoked Putin even further. We were starting to go in the right direction with Trump and Putin talking and everything coming and just going towards peace. You know what both sides say? The Democrats say, "We're gonna keep funding this war as long as we're allowed to. As long as people will keep letting us launder billions of dollars through Ukraine, we're gonna keep doing that." Trump says, "I wanna end this war and whatever stops violence, whatever stops death immediately." So right at the last minute before Biden leaves office, he goes, "Hey, Ukraine, you know those weapons that I told you weren't allowed to use this whole time because it would be so obvious that it was us and Great Britain attacking Russia? Go ahead, use them now. Go ahead. Go ahead. Nothing bad will happen, I'm sure." And then Putin launches an ICBM to say, "Hey, remember these things called ICBMs? I have those. And if you threaten me and if NATO attacks me, then I know I'm gonna punch in the Addy. I got the GPS. Punch in the Addy, bro. Let's get to the point." Do you know what a Pyrrhic victory is? Do you guys know what a Pyrrhic victory is? Um, Look it up. Look up what a Pyrrhic victory is, because that's what'll happen. Biden doing this is a provocation from the West on Putin. Putin just got done telling us he would like a more amicable relationship. He looks forward to working with Trump, and he is going to switch selling petrol. He's going to switch selling gas in the US dollars back to US dollars for us, which is huge, making huge strides with the relationship with us. And then Biden does this and undermines Trump coming into office and undermines the efforts of peace. Do you see how the Democrats are war hawks and disgusting? Go ahead. Yeah, we're gonna win. We're gonna win this big war, guys. We got it. We got it all under control. It's gonna be a Pyrrhic victory and nothing will matter. So they need to stop doing this. We need to get Trump into office immediately and this war needs to end. I'm doing a deep dive. We're gonna go back to 1991 and watch how we're aware of $5 billion that you said has funneled into Ukraine from 1991 to 2014 to fund the Orange Revolution, to fund the massacre at Medan. I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Medan? 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 I don't know. I'll figure it out by the next video. But we're gonna do a deep dive. The next video you see on it, it's gonna be another long one, but you'll see. But it'll be at least there'll be some memeage in there. I know you might miss the memeage a little bit. I'm gonna shit post it. I'll shit post a little bit more in the next one. I just wanted to get this out there. You know, I hope it doesn't escalate any further. But a new video is coming, and it's good when it's long. It's gonna be long. It's gonna be strong, and there. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys in a little bit.